Jesus was all about love. All he preached was love. All he lived was love. Anyone who looks at the life of Jesus and studies the life of Jesus will see that he was a man who loved everyone. He helped everyone who crossed his path. He gave to the poor. He stood up for the mistreated and became friends with the unpopular. In fact, one of the main reasons the religious people of his day had him killed was because he challenged them by showing more love than they did. The religious leaders didn't like Jesus because he was a revolutionary. He was a rebel. He showed love to those who they despised, and he was bold enough to speak out against any injustice he saw. And today, one of the most tragic things has taken place. Some of the most hateful voices have tried to claim that Jesus is on their side. Well, let me say this. Jesus himself made it clear what side he was on. In Luke chapter 10, verse 27, he sums up his entire theology by saying that we should love God and love our neighbor. Jesus made it clear he was on the side of love. So anybody that mistreats and acts in prejudice towards someone because they are different cannot say Jesus is on their side, because that is not the side of love. And so what you and I must do is ask ourselves, are we standing on the side of love? In everything we do, we must ask ourselves, is this love? Because if it is, chances are Jesus is standing on our side. And so for those of you out there who have been hurt by people who claim they are on the side of Christ, remember, God will judge whoever hurt you. God will hold them accountable. But whatever you do, don't allow those who mistreated you to stop you from being on the side of love. Because, my friend, if you choose love, chances are you are the one who is truly standing with Jesus. You see, Jesus knew that there would be many people who would claim to be on his side, but would act in such hate. And that is why in Matthew chapter 7, verse 22, Jesus says that when he returns, many will come up to him on that day, saying, Lord, Lord. But he will say to them, depart from me. Wow. And why will he tell some people, depart from me? Because they didn't do the will of God, showing love to others. And this is why in Matthew chapter 25, verse 31, Jesus explains clearly what's going to happen when he comes. He says that when he returns, there will be many people who are invited into his kingdom, and he's going to allow them to see that the reason why they are invited is because they were people of love. Look at what it says in Matthew 25, verse 31. So it says here, when the Son of Man, Jesus, comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne, and all the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people. Some people will be on his right, others will be on his left. And the king will say to those on his right, come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. And then the righteous will say, Lord, when did we ever see you hungry or feed you or thirsty? When did we ever see you as a stranger and invite you in? When did we ever see you sick or in prison and go to visit you? And notice what Jesus says to them. The king will reply, truly I tell you, Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. Wow. Jesus, when he returns, he's going to gather the people. He will say, come into the kingdom prepared for you. And he's going to say, because you were acting in love towards others, that is how you acted towards me. And so, friends, if there is anything that you do with your life, whatever you do, make sure you are a person of love. Help those who need help. Clothe those who need clothing. Feed those who are hungry, and love, love, love everyone. Because if you do, you too will one day hear Jesus say, come into the kingdom. Because just as you loved others, you loved me.